welcome you on into another episode of the Big Time Sports Podcast Show with Mitch Spinell and Mitchell Balla here to give you the latest in athletics from all the levels, high school, collegiate, and professional, and whatever else. Mitch, so happy to be back with you. It's a good week to be talking sports. Kind of a lighter week, but it's a good one because we have many games this coming weekend. We have playoff baseball officially underway right now. We'll get to that in a little bit. And basketball is just right around the corner.
I believe a week from the Cleveland Cavaliers tipping off across the border up north in Toronto. So yes, great week for sports. Like you said, playoffs just started yesterday as we're going to cover some of those games here shortly. Get ready for NFL week 6 already and talk some high school sports week 9 of the high school football season.
Absolutely. And before we get into it, obviously, you guys know that we are on multiple streaming platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Spotify, you can find our video podcast format. You can also find us here on YouTube. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Go to our website, bigtimesportsohio.com, as well as our Facebook, Big Time Sports Ohio, on Twitter at BTS Ohio, and then on Twitter at Mitch Spinell, at Mitchell Balla. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram as well. So now, Mitch, we'll get right into it. We'll get into a bit of a break from our usual structure. And because last night, you and I both were watching the game, and there were many games on Tuesday night to start off the divisional round. And between these guys and these guys came out on top, 4-1 final where, it was a game, Mitch. I don't know what you thought about where the Guardians stand after this game, but to me, it kind of felt like this is a team that can at least compete with a 100-plus win, big market bully team like the Yankees, because I know many people did not expect them to be able to level up to where New York is currently.
Oh, they absolutely can compete with this team. And I thought last night you saw the difference between the team being able to take over a game in which it was very tight. It was tight all the way really till the end, even though that the score was 4-1 Yankees in game 1. 1-0 Guardians off of an unlikely hero hitting a home run, Stephen Kwan, which, by the way, that now makes all 4 runs that Cleveland has scored in 3 playoff games coming via the home run ball.
About that,
which is hilarious because remember, we don't hit home runs, but it's also slightly frightening, but nothing I would worry about yet. We'll get into that a little more. But you heard Terry Francona after the game. They just flat out beat them. I kind of beg to differ. I think the game turned in 2 spots. I think when the Guardians had the chance in the 3rd inning with the bases loaded and your 4-hitter up after Rosario and Jose got on base after the Kwan home run, I really thought that was it right there. You had already run Garrett Cole's pitch count up so much. I thought this was a chance for us. 0 for 8 last night with runners in scoring position where the Guardians, that's a killer, especially for a team, Mitch, that is where they thrived all year. They don't hit home runs. They usually get base hits, and we saw it with Rosario getting on and then Jose hitting a double, and it was 2nd and 3rd, 1 out, I believe, and your 4-hitter up, and they just couldn't capitalize. I thought the momentum swung towards the Yankees there. Bader comes up the next inning, hits a game-tying home run, a very unlikely guy just like Kwan to hit a home run. And then Oscar Gonzalez, being a rookie in a big spot in right field, making a monumental error with a misplayed ball down the line that ends up going through his legs into the corner. It's a triple. That run later scores on, I believe, a Jose Trevino sac fly. And it was 2-1. I don't think it was over there, but once Judge got on, and this is where I think you and we should start with here and your take. Was Cal Quantrill in too long? Did Tito leave him in too long, or did Cal Quantrill deserve the opportunity to go back out there?
No, I think he was at a rate in which it would have made sense for him to go back out because the bullpen, as fresh as arms as you have going into that contest, that's still a tough matchup against this Yankee lineup. And it's funny you mentioned Gonzalez is there when the play before he made an extremely veteran move against a veteran who made a rookie mistake when Josh Donaldson hit the top of the wall very close to a home run. And then he assumed that it was gone. So he just started lackadaisically running instead of getting back to the base or going for second. That was where the game I was like, okay, this is where the youth starts to show for Cleveland, where Gonzalez, it's a tricky ball too because of the spin it had on it, but you got to make that play. And when Rizzo hit the home run, I was like, all right, that's the game. Because and give full credit to Garrett Cole too. He pitched like the man who was given all of that money by the Yankees last night. Now, time will tell if he pitches like that in an elimination game or with his back against the wall. Time will tell. But I give him a lot of credit last night. They ended up playing more small ball at times than the Guardians did at points, even though many of the runs last night were because of the long ball. And I don't know. It's not gonna be an easy game too. This is a very good matchup coming up on Thursday, potentially Friday with the weather, with Shane Bieber taking on Nestor Cortez. Um, I know you could point to 2017 as an example, but I do think you have to win this one. If you go back to Cleveland down 2-0, that's such a tall order, even with guys like McKenzie or with McKenzie potentially starting in game 3. And then who knows where you go from there in 4 and 5. I mean, you got Savali potentially in the mix. Quantrill could be a game 5 guy where it's very hard for him to lose in Cleveland, but that could be the time. I'd rather you just get one of these games in, and then it's up for grabs essentially in those next 3.
And I think a lot of it has to do, and if you watched game 1 last night on TBS, which a lot of mixed reviews with Bob Costas. I personally love Bob Costas. Mitch, I don't know about you. But there is the possibility that game 2 does not happen Thursday night. There's a possibility pushed back to Friday. And if it gets pushed back to Friday, game 2 is automatically a must-win game because you will not see Shane Bieber again. My whole thought process with this was Shane Bieber pitches game 2. If you go to game 5, he would probably come back on 3-4 days rest and he would go. Now you're talking about potentially playing game 2 Friday, 3 and 4 if necessary, Saturday, Sunday, and then game 5 back in New York if necessary on Monday. There would be no shot Biebers ready for that. But listen, the Yankees did what they were supposed to do with a pitcher that has shown he's capable of what he showed last night in multiple postseason performances before. And you kind of expected them to get that game. I was holding out hope that we could steal game 1, Mitch, but I would say I was more so expecting the Yankees to come through. And I feel confident in game 2. You're throwing your ace. They threw their ace and they got one. You're throwing your ace now and you have a chance to get one on the road. And that's where it all starts. Game 3, then you come back home and you have McKenzie going. Even if you're down 0-2, I like our odds in game 3 at home with McKenzie in the crowd. But I think you have to wait and see when game 2 happens. I think that really is going to change. Like you said, Savali could be in the mix. But if you go to game 4 on Sunday and this game happens Friday, you almost have to pitch Cal because he's been so great at Progressive Field. And I don't know if you want to thrust Savali into that spot because more than likely, if you go to a game 5, you know it's all arms on deck and you know that you might just need Savali to get through that lineup 1 or 2 times. But we're not there yet. I still feel confident. And for everybody out there that is worried about the offense, right? And you can be worried. I'm not saying don't be worried, but look at who we've faced. We have faced Shane McClanahan, who through the first half of the season and started the All-Star game for the American League, was through the first half the favorite for the American League Cy Young. You face Tyler Glasnow, who personally, me, Mitch, I think Glasnow is the best pitcher on the Tampa Bay Rays team, but he is just coming back from injury. And now you face Garrett Cole. You face potentially 3 number 1 pitchers, 3 straight games. Now you're going to face nasty Nestors. They call him Nestor Cortez, and he's a lefty, and that might hurt us, but he's another guy, not a whole lot of postseason experience. You know Shane Bieber was hungry for game 1 of the wild card. You don't think he's going to be motivated again here to go after the team that put up 7 on him in the 2020 playoffs? I expect to see the Shane Bieber we saw back in Cleveland last Friday in game 1 of the wild card against Tampa. I'm excited, but don't get too down on the offense yet. I think there's still plenty of time for them to come around. It's all up to the hitters, though. Garrett Cole's breaking ball last night, Mitch, was filthy. They're just filthy. But the plate discipline from every hitter except for Steven Kwan and Jose Ramirez was atrocious. It really was. They could not stop swinging at balls out of the zone. Ahmed Rosario was trying to do too much. He swung at 2 balls out of the zone and fouled him off. And then the one thing you couldn't have happen because you needed Jose to get up was ground into a double play. And that's exactly what happened with Rosario. I think the day off helps here for the young team to kind of flush this out. And we'll see when game 2 happens. But I'm not overreacting yet. I still think the Guardians have a really good shot here. And some people think this is a negative. Some people it's positive. The Yankees beat you with Judge going 0 for 3 with 3 Ks.
Right.
I personally think that you were in that game the entire time. I'm not too worried about that yet with Judge. Oh, they beat you without Judge doing anything. We've seen Judge in the playoffs here and there before. He can be extremely hot, he can also be literally what he was last night, a whiffing machine. And you have to hope that maybe the game one happening and he goes over 3 Ks, maybe he's in his head, and maybe that continues, but we'll have to wait and see.
We shall see. And we'll get back to more of the baseball discussion here in the next segment. We'll also get into the upcoming week 6 of the NFL and, of course, high school sports right after this.
When others treat your fries as an afterthought, all you're left with are cold, soggy fries. That's why Wendy's new fries are ones you won't forget, guaranteed to be hot and crispy, or we'll replace them. We're talking natural cut, skin-on fries, perfectly seasoned with a hint of sea salt. In fact, they're even preferred almost 2-to-1 over McDonald's. These are fries so hot and crispy, they beg a new question.
What would you like with your fries?
Try them today, only at Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, taste preference based on a national taste test by an independent research company.
Buying a home has never been so affordable with record low interest rates. Hartzler's Quality Housing is ready to put over 40 years of experience to work for you. Family owned and operated since 1978, Hartzler's has a wide selection of model homes on site with a knowledgeable team to help make your new home a reality. Open 6 days a week. Visit them off I-77 in Dover or online at hartzlers.com. Hartzler's Quality Housing. Quality from start to finish.
You deserve the best. And at Ferris Chevrolet, Buick, Cadillac, Toyota, that's what you get. We consider you, the customer, to be part of our family. Anybody can make promises, but when you visit Ferris, you get the Ferris deal from a Ferris wheel. So if you're looking for a car, truck, or van, think Ferris.
You invest a lot in your home and vehicle purchases. Van Nostrand Young and Associates want you to feel secure should anything happen to those investments. We partnered with providers like Grange Insurance and other industry leaders to be sure you're presented with the most complete coverage to fit your needs. Because we're not only here to protect the items you invest in, we're here to protect your future as well.
Call Van Nostrand Young Insurance in North Canton at 330-49.
We all have 206 things in common. Our bones keep us up and moving. And we at Cleveland Clinic Union Hospital care about every single one of them. From the tip of your finger to a brand new hip, our orthopedic experts will keep you going while keeping you safe. For every break and breakthrough, for every bone and joint, for every care in the world. Get the care you need when and where you need it. Visit unionhospital.org.
And we're back here on the Big Time Sports Podcast Show. Mitch Spinell, Mitchell Balla here to talk about some sports, including the Major League Baseball playoffs. We talked about the Guardians losing to the Yankees game 1. Hopefully the Guardians, by the time we get back to our next episode, will be back in the series. Now, the rest of them last night, we had all 4 of the wild card series start yesterday, Mitch, and the ones there were 2 games that I was not surprised by the finals. One of them I was surprised by how the final came. And then one of them was the interesting one. I picked the Phillies to win in the wild card round against St. Louis, but I did not expect them to get out to as good a start as they did against the Braves.
No, honestly, I didn't either. And Mitch, I think I didn't listen to the post game. Obviously, I don't really care to listen to any post game besides when my team's playing. I don't know, but I have to imagine one of the first questions that manager Brian Snitker was asked for the Braves was, did the rust cause you to lose this game? Did the 5 days off, affect how you guys were able to battle at the plate, affect your pitching? We saw Max Fried, who really is one of the top 2 pitchers on the Braves, whether you want to put him 1 or 2, up to you for your interpretation. His last 10 starts in the regular season, he did not give up more than 2 earned runs in any of those 10 starts. And yesterday, Mitch, he looked human. He gave up 6 to the Phillies, chased him in the 4th inning, I believe. And so that's where they had a first round bye. They were off 5-6 days. Did it hurt them? We don't know. But I mean, the Braves came roaring back, but give credit to the Phillies, Mitch. And finally, Bryce Harper comes up clutch, but Nick Castellanos had 3 major hits. You had Bohm, the third baseman, coming through. Just an all around great effort from the Phillies, and especially Suarez, their starting pitcher. First time in that spot. Struggled early. I mean, you saw Acuna Jr. start off that bottom of the first with a double, and it looked like all of a sudden the Braves were going to come back. nibbled around it, got out of it, and the Phillies are up 1-0. And now this is a team that has not played a playoff game in front of their home crowd since 2011. Now they're guaranteed at least 2 more games at, is it still Citizens Bank Park? I'm not sure if it is out in Philadelphia. And that's going to be a place, Mitch, that is wild. The atmosphere, I can imagine, is going to be crazy. The Braves, keep in mind, folks, the defending world champions, they're not going to, freak out right now or worry. I'm not going to call it a must-win game for them just because I do think that they are one of the better teams in baseball. Completely blew my mind when I found out yesterday during the broadcast that they were second this year in all of baseball and home runs hit. You would not have expected that if you were just going off the top of your head, but yeah, a crazy game. And it came down to the end too, Mitch. You see a lot of these postseason games come down to the end. The Braves had the tying run at the plate in the 9th inning, but the Phillies walk away 7-6 and are up 1-0 in the NLDS.
Scored those 3 runs in the 9th on a 3-run home run, which I think put some scare into the Phillies, obviously, but they held on to win. That series is still up for grabs, along with the one that we're talking about before. The other 2 series are over in my book. Houston,
the one is so over, and we're going to talk about it right now.
What are you talking about? Houston and Seattle?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, because you had the opportunity. Seattle was up 7-5, obviously, and then Yordan Alvarez hits the home run, and the Astros come back and win. There's just no way. As good a story as Seattle has been, that's hard. It's hard. The Astros are hard to beat in the postseason. I think they're harder to beat than even the Yankees are at this point. And I picked the Yankees to beat the Astros in the championship series.
And it's not only are they a hard team to beat, Mitch, it's how the Mariners got beat. You got 4 or 6 off Justin Verlander, the AL Cy Young Award winner. I mean, presumed to be Cy Young Award winner. You chased him from the game in 4 innings, and you're up 7-3 at one point. You were up 6-3, and then you hit a home run. I believe it was Suarez hits a home run, makes it 7-3. 8th inning, Bregman hits a 2-run shot to make it 7-5. The Mariners brought in Munoz, who was really their best reliever. They kind of do closer by committee in Seattle, but you got out of it. And the thing was, as long as you don't let one guy on, you weren't going to have to face the top of the lineup. But Mitch, I am not a Major League Baseball manager. I only coach the youth here around Starr County. Okay. I've coached 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, and I'll have 17-year-olds again next summer. The situation that the Mariners were in the 9th inning, if that is game 5, I totally get it. If that is game 7 of a championship series or a World Series, I totally get it. But bringing in a starting pitcher in the 9th inning who only has ever had 3 career relief appearances and is coming in off 3 days rest, was a awful move right away. I was on FaceTime with my one friend while the game was happening because we were talking about it. And not only that, but what were the Mariners calling on the 3 straight fastballs to Yordan Alvarez, who's the best fastball hitter on that team, probably the best and most feared hitter on the team right now for the Houston Astros. And he unloads. And I mean, it was a no-doubter. 448 feet, I think I saw 117 off the bat. And the Mariners completely choked game 1 away. And this is over. It's over in 3. The Astros will take care of business in game 2. This will go to Seattle. And I don't know how a Mariners team that has no postseason experience can rebound from a game like this that they had for 26 outs. You had the game 1 for 26 outs. And that's why you played 27. And Mitch, I'll tell you right now, as a baseball fan, if my team's in the playoffs, I would rather lose how the Guardians lost last night than how the Mariners lost yesterday, because that is gut-wrenching.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There is something about, being competitive but not having a true chance, whereas Seattle, you have that opportunity and then you just let it slip through. If you get the out, then it's over, but I don't know. And as far as the Dodgers and Padres go, this feels so out of our, we can talk about it, but it just feels like an afterthought at this point. I know that the Padres score the 3 runs in the 5th to put a scare into LA, but the Dodgers are just objectively better than the Padres on paper. And I don't know, maybe if San Diego can really get the offense going, get a good performance out of Musgrove again, should the opportunity come, like he did, like it was in game 3 of the wild card round. But I don't know. I think goes at the maximum. It goes 4 games. Maybe San Diego steals one, but that's about it.
And I picked San Diego to win this series, Mitch, but I'll just come out and say it right now. They have no chance when your 2 and 3 hitters are combined 1 for 7 with 1 walk. Juan Soto and Manny Machado have been nowhere to be found so far in the playoffs. Nowhere. It's I don't know what to even say. It's been the bottom of the order for the San Diego Padres that got them through that wild card series against the Mets. And your 2 best hitters, 2 of what a lot of people would say are 2 of the best players in all of baseball at their positions, are nowhere to be found. Juan Soto 0 for 3 with a walk, Manny Machado 1 for 4. Neither of them scoring a run, neither of them having any RBIs. It's just the Padres have no shot. They will get swept unless one of those 2, if not both of them, start to show up. And you're right. They put that little jolt of fear into the Dodgers, but the Dodgers aren't going to be afraid until it actually happens. And what I mean the final score is final and the Dodgers have less runs than the Padres. That's the only time they might be afraid. But I wanted to get risky and take the Padres, but my gosh, if Soto and Machado are going to just disappear, then they might as well not even show up and play a couple of these games.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, we got this coming weekend to figure out if any of the series will be done by then. I predict at least 2 of these series will be complete by then, because by the time we get back on Sunday or Monday, then yeah, I mean, one of them could be, or many of them could be done in 3 games, maybe more than 2 of them. I'm not sure. So yeah, as far as the rest of the show goes, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be previewing week 6 of the National Football League, including the Browns game against the Patriots.
You asked for it and we listened. Buckeye Career Center is now offering Certified Nail Technician as an adult education program. This 216-hour course begins in November and will run Tuesday through Thursday evenings from 5 to 9 p.m. Learn manicures, pedicures, infection control, salon operations, and more. Other part-time certification courses starting this fall include phlebotomy and welding. Call 330-339-2288 to register or visit BuckeyeCareerCenter.org for more information.
If you're looking for a new or pre-owned car or truck, why not see the Parkway Auto Group? Parkway is a special group of automotive experts with 8 brands to satisfy your needs. Come see the difference at the Parkway Auto Group on Commercial Parkway in Dover. 8 brands and 1 family. It's Parkway Auto Group.
The Furby Electric Supply Company has bright ideas for your home. Save money by converting to energy-efficient electrical products or add ambiance with beautiful lighting features. It begins with a professional consultation and a visit to the Furby Lighting Showroom. Then certified Furby contractors complete your project right and on time. Since 1934, 4 generations have built a reputation of quality and trust, and they offer emergency services too. Just visit Furby.com. That's F-U-R-B-A-Y. The Furby Electric Supply Company.
It takes a lot of practice to have a winning team. Albin Title has over 100 years of combined experience handling real estate, title, and escrow transactions. They serve Tuscarawas, Stark, Carroll, Harrison counties, and more. So choose Albin Title for your next home refinance, sale, or purchase. They'll get it done quickly and professionally. Contact Albin Title at 330-334-5800 or visit their website albintitle.com. Let them put their experience to work for you.
Where you matter. You matter. Everyone plays a part. We all have a role. Each of us can make a difference. You do matter, and the best way to have a positive impact is to pay it forward. With each of us helping one another to cope, feel better, and know that we belong. Pass on the positivity today. Tell someone else they matter too. Alt Care.
Alt Care, Alt Care. Where you matter.
Fall is in the air and part-time career enhancement courses at Buckeye Career Center are on the horizon. Registration is now open for Introduction to Beekeeping, Basic Small Engine Repair, and Sign Language. These part-time offerings run on Tuesday evenings and begin in November. Let Buckeye Career Center help you learn a new skill or advance your current skill set. Call 330-339-2288 for more information or to reserve your seat in one of these or our other part-time classes.
And welcome you back to the Big Time Sports Podcast Show. Mitch Spinell and Mitchell Balla here. It is now time to talk NFL. And Mitch, I can see you already got the Google Sheet pulled up. That's good. I was going to put mine in real time. I was going to do that because we are going to preview Week 6 of the upcoming NFL season. By the way, before we get into that, Monday night, Mitch, quick recap: Chiefs and Raiders. Like, the Raiders just had a lot of strokes of bad luck towards the end. The Chiefs pull out a victory. They didn't look the greatest, but they ended up winning. And now Davante Adams is being criminally charged for shoving a cameraman. So that's another fun thing for the Raiders.
Yeah. Yeah. What just a wild game, really. I mean, you're talking about the Raiders getting out to a 17-0 lead. I went to bed. Keep in mind, I usually get up extremely early, so I don't stay up for these late games. And the first thing I see is Davante Adams shoves cameraman after loss. So my first thought was, one, how did the Raiders blow it? Two, what? And then you go on to see he shoved a cameraman going into the tunnel. Since then, you see that he's claimed he's had injuries. He is pressing charges, which was expected when you're talking about professional athletes and situations like that. Yeah, just it seems like, unfortunately, now, not trying to make light of it in any way, but the Raiders seem to find themselves with a sticky situation every year. And luckily for them, this is definitely the least of all of them they've dealt with in the past couple of years. But the league is seeking disciplinary action. They were, whether it was a fine or a potential suspension for Davante Adams. I personally don't think he deserves to be suspended, Mitch. I tend to think of it this way, that you were up 17-0. Davante Adams is very, very frustrated that they just blew that game. They fall to 1-4, and he's leaving the field, emotions high, and a guy walks in front of him. And look, should he have pushed him? No, but at the same time, you have no idea what Davante's really thinking at that point. He did apologize. I considered it a very weak apology over Twitter, considering he said, "If you see this," like, come on. But we'll see what happens. Just not a good look at all for Davante Adams or the Raiders. But Mitch, it was a wild game. The Raiders typically always play the Chiefs tough and usually get a win somewhere during the season against the Chiefs. Derek Carr actually usually plays out of his mind, or just as good as Pat Mahomes in those type of games. For me, though, and I want to talk about this before we make our picks this weekend, the roughing the passer calls in the NFL. We've now seen two of them called the past weekend, where I don't think either of them were roughing the passer calls. I think the one on Tom Brady was a little more egregious because I guess you could say he didn't fall on Tom Brady, where you saw the defender for the Chiefs fall onto Derek Carr, even though he had the ball at the time. So just what is your whole take on this? You've seen a lot in the past days. You've seen a lot of current NFL stars like Von Miller to one of them come out and express how they're just upset with this and how they can't take it. And what are they supposed to do? I mean, in the beginning of that Chiefs Raiders game, Mitch, there was 2 sacks where Max Crosby literally hugged Mahomes and kept him up. I mean, is that what we've come to? Is that what a sack has to be from now on?
I mean, I can understand a defender's frustration because this is in a game where in the past they were just accustomed to hitting a guy and then seeing what happens. And now they have to keep these certain things in mind in order to not cost their team with a penalty. And I'm wondering if a huge effect of this is because of the whole outburst or outrage about Tua Tagovailoa just a few weeks ago. Now, I'm not saying that the NFL has not had issues of this sort of penalty call in the past before this, but I don't know, because people were so vehemently outraged that Tagovailoa was even close to a football field that Thursday night when he suffered the concussion that, might keep him out for a bit, that I think it's the league trying to ensure player safety, but at the same time, you are changing it in a way that makes the sport feel very different from what it was in the past. And I don't know. I don't personally believe it'll come to a point for a long time where it's such a slippery slope that it changes the game dramatically, where the league is going to have to instill these even further rules and outlines that make the game feel much more different. But it is something that, because it happens so frequently this week, it's a touch point that people are talking about now. And I don't know. I don't know where the league, I don't know how the league would address something like this, because in all honesty, it should be, these guys are willing to put themselves out there to play. It sucks to see them get hurt.
Yep.
That that's the deal that you sign that you essentially agree upon when you put yourself in pads and go out on a football field. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is.
Bitch, you're spot on. You're 1000% correct. Don't apologize, because if you weren't going to say it, I was. You know what you get yourself into when you decide to announce your eligibility for the NFL draft. Once you are drafted or sign undrafted or just a free agent picked up off the streets, you know what you're signing up for. And listen, you have to have referees for obviously certain things and obviously dirty hits. And we've seen plenty of them in the past. Vontez Burfict with the Bengals comes to mind. I mean, that dude will never play another snap, even if he could right now. It's been a few years, but Mitch, to me, I think you and I are both on the same page. Those weren't roughing the passer penalties. They weren't. And there was actually a video circulating that Tom Brady's been playing so long. I don't know if you've seen it, that when he was on the Patriots, I believe is between year 1 and 3, he did an end around keeper and he got hit so hard that his helmet came flying off.
Yeah.
It wasn't flagged. And now we're talking about Tom Brady being drugged down by the back of his jersey, and it's roughing the passer. Not to mention Tom Brady flung his leg at the end, which people are saying it wasn't a kick. I personally don't think that your natural reflex is to throw your leg in the air like that at the defender. But it's just, and now you're in a tough spot, because now you're going to start to get sacks where teams are going to say, yeah, it's roughing the passer. You don't get the flag. It's a tough spot now, but they cannot continue to go on with this match. You know what you're signing up for.
To address the point of, why we see such a difference between the Brady back then compared to today, it's because back then there wasn't a grand awareness of football players getting serious mental problems in their late 40s to their 50s and 60s, and then unfortunately doing something about it, aka being in so much pain that they end up committing suicide or dying these premature deaths. That's what's unfortunate.
Or harming others. We've seen that too. It's something, but you're right. They didn't have the technology or research back then to do it.
That's why we're more focused on it now than ever. And keep in mind, that's not me giving the league a pass to not provide care or services when it's necessary, because as much as the players do sign up for the possibility of something like this happening, you do want to ensure at the same time that each little thing can be done to maintain the integrity and the quality of the sport while ensuring that these guys don't unnecessarily go through these unfortunate circumstances.
Mitch, if there was a crowd here right now, they would be giving you a standing round of applause, because you're spot on with everything you said.
I appreciate it. I'm taking it in as much as I can. This is the most compliments I'll receive all week. So now we go over to week 6 of the NFL, and we're going to preview our picks. We got the Google sheet set up here on Thursday night. Buddy, if last week was the worst Thursday night game in a long, long time, what the hell is this game going to be?
Mitch, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a thriller.
Washington and the Bears on Prime. Like, Commanders had a tough loss to Tennessee this past week. I was watching the end of it where Wentz throws the interception into the end zone. Smart move, by the way, by the Titans guy. I don't know what his name was specifically, but he ran out the clock because it was right at the last seconds instead of just falling in the end zone and risking it. And the Bears are 2-3, but they feel like a team that's worse than 2-3 right now. Justin Fields just looks lost. I hate to say it, but he does look lost behind an atrocious offensive line. The defense isn't quite playing well. It's an even game. So, it's God, can I pick neither team? I don't really know what to do here.
You can pick a tie, because the NFL is still like that, and they allow ties, which makes no sense. That's a different argument or different rant. I can go on.
Bets?
Oh, bets? No, you can get a push.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh God.
Well, yeah. Wait, if you pick a tie and the line's even,
I'm sure you could. Yeah, I'm sure you could bet that. I don't know. I don't know much about betting. I'm gonna go with just Washington, just to say I did, because I don't know. I feel like they might be a better team despite the record.
Yeah, I think that I think they probably are. I think you're going to watch 2 of the bottom 5 teams in all of football on Thursday night. However, I think because they're so bad record wise and just talent wise, I think it's gonna be a really good game. It's not going to be as bad as last week, folks. So if you sat and watched that, This should be a really good game.
I don't think it'll be 7 field goals. I think you're right on that, but it's just like we're gonna see it probably be like 17-9. I feel
that would match up with what Vegas has at the over/under of 38 too.
16-10. Yeah,
I'm hoping it's like a 43-38 thriller that we just don't see coming. But I will take the home team here because the line is even. I will take the Chicago Bears.
Okay, so we have 2 afternoon games. No, excuse me. I was looking for 2 afternoon games for in-division teams, and then the Steelers also. Okay, so 3. So the first one I want to get to, the Ravens. They take on. This is an interesting one because it's not. I don't think it's a matchup that people thought would be so anticipated at the season start. The Ravens were coming off the Monday night win against against the Sunday night win against Cincinnati, take on the 4-1 Giants. Like, Mitch, Baltimore is a 5-point favorite right now. I don't know if I'm going to take Baltimore automatically. What do you think?
It is tough because you did just see the Giants beat a good team in the Packers, right? I think that's kind of where everybody's mind is too, is maybe this team is better than what we really want to give them credit for. They were 3-1. They beat some bad teams. This is a different team to game plan for than the Green Bay Packers, and I will take the Ravens and the points.
Yeah, as much as I hate to say it, I mean, I think I got to go with my head. I think I did that last week. I might have been wrong there, but I'm going to go this week. The Ravens at home, on the road, excuse me, in the Meadowlands. The Bengals take on the Saints. Pretty even matchup. Saints are 1.5 point underdogs. Cincinnati, one of the most underwhelming offenses in the league this year, just not really getting it done. You mentioned it, Coach, last week. It was Stefanski on the hot seat. I would argue Zach Taylor's more on the hot seat than. Well, here's the thing. He should be. But that playoff run last year bought him job security for at least 2 years, I believe. That's not here nor there. I'm sorry I brought it up.
I was going to bring it up too, though, because I was going to say, I believe they also signed him to an extension after last season. If they were to lose this game, what is the Bengals front office thinking? Or are they going to give him a pass because they went out and addressed what they thought the biggest need was in the O-line, and it's actually been just as bad as last year?
Yeah, I was going to say that doesn't make the case much better. This one I'm going to go. I think Cincinnati pulls it off. I'm going to go Cincinnati just on gut reaction.
Do we know who's playing quarterback yet for the New Orleans Saints?
I mean, it might be Taysom Hill after last week, for all I know. For all that I'm hearing about it.
I'm going to give you my pick now. Obviously, I reserve the right to change. I am, though. First off, Taysom Hill won't do what he did last week. He does that about every other week, if not a week and then 2 weeks off, he'll do it again. Andy Dalton revenge game. Give me the Saints.
It's probably gonna be Andy Dalton again. So yeah, I'm gonna go Cincinnati still. We also have the Steelers, who got, as we expected, boat raced by the Bills last week, and they come in at 8-point underdogs to Tom Brady and the Bucks. Bucks haven't looked amazing, but I still think it's going to be handily a Buccaneers win. I'm going to go Tampa Bay.
I think the Bucks win. The spread's 8. I really think the Steelers somehow are going to cover that. I really do. I think that the defense will be ready to play. I think the Bucks are overrated. I think realistically, though, I think this is going to be a low scoring game. What is it? We have the over under at 44.5.
Yes.
Kind of like the under there, but I will take straight up. I'll take the Bucks to win, but I think the Steelers can cover the 8.
Okay. Well, 2 teams that we did not expect to have similar records at this point of the season, even though Green Bay comes in at a 7-point favorite, are the Packers and the Jets. This one is at Lambeau.
Yeah, Packers. There's no way that Aaron Rodgers is losing to 2 New York teams back-to-back weeks. I listen, maybe the Jets are better than what we think. I still think they've just been a flash in the pan and they're just playing above themselves right now, but I'm taking the Packers touchdown favorite at Lambeau.
Okay, so I'm going to take Green Bay as well. You took Chicago in the Thursday night game. So then we have, let me see here. I have to put down my team here. 1 second here. Okay. Now we have the 49ers taking on the Falcons. San Francisco 5.5 point favorites.
Yeah, realistically, Mitch, this game is in Atlanta. Niners 5.5-point favorite. This is where you hear a lot of those people say, "Oh, West Coast going to East Coast. Could this throw them off?" Niners typically play well whenever they travel across the country. I will take the Niners here. I think the Falcons, that should be 1-4 going into this game, they fall to 2-4.
I think the Falcons offense is that atrocious that I'm going to go with the 49ers, and I'm going to be very confident about that. So then we have the Jaguars against the Colts. Everybody's most anticipated matchup. This one, I don't care, man. I think Indy is on a huge slide right now. I'm taking Jacksonville. I think Lawrence has a bounce back week after not looking great.
You talked about coaches in the hot seat, Mitch. We might be seeing our second coach of the season, fired here if the Colts were to lose to Jacksonville this week, I think, in Frank Wright. I will take the Colts at home, 2.5-point favorites. They typically just can't beat Jacksonville in Jacksonville for whatever reason. But if the Jaguars win, Frank Wright, I think, is the next head coach you're going to see, A, at the top of the list in odds to be fired and on the hot seat, or B, fired immediately.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll be fired, but it'll definitely be an interesting discussion the following Monday. So then we have Vikings up against the Dolphins. Vikings at a sneaky 4-1, and they're the 3.5-point favorites because Skylar Thompson is expected to play at the start for the Dolphins at quarterback. Tua is throwing, but he's not going to start this week. And of course, Teddy Bridgewater got knocked out with the head injury too. So, yeah, I think I'll go Minnesota pretty easy.
Yep, I had to be determined in there because I wasn't sure Tua's availability. You gave me that info. I'm going Vikings as well.
Yeah, it's just if it even was Teddy, I could give Miami a shot. But no, I think this is going to be the one. So then we have going down, we have the Panthers. Oh, those Panthers taking on the Rams, who also are kind of underachieving this year. Look, Panthers. Oh wow, Panthers. I think are they're the biggest point differential at 10.5 points this week. But even then, I don't think it's necessarily a gimme. Now, Baker Mayfield is questionable currently on the injury report. We don't know if he's going to start yet. If that's the case, then I'll go with the Rams handily. I'll go with the Rams, but I want to keep that one in the back of my head. Like, I don't know if that's necessarily a gimme.
To me, I think this is a layup. I kind of already want to mark it green on the sheet because I'm taking the Rams. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback this week for the Panthers, whether it's PJ Walker, Baker. They signed somebody else off the street, unless it's Blake Bortles. I'm taking the Rams.
Arizona and Seattle. We have the Cardinals and Seahawks. Cardinals 3-point favorites. I'm going to go Cardinals.
Does this not just feel like a sucker game, though? You know what I mean? Like, I think the Seahawks have been playing way better than what we expected them to, but I don't think they're as good as they are. I also just don't trust the Cardinals whatsoever. I could literally flip a coin here for who I think could win this game. Off a sheer talent standpoint, I'm going to take the Cardinals, though.
Yeah, look, Gino's been balling out. 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, over 1,300 yards compared to the 6 touchdowns and 3 picks that Kyler has thrown for less yardage. But I don't know. I feel like on the road, Cardinals can pull one out. And then we have the Bills taking on the Chiefs in a midday primetime matchup in Arrowhead, a rematch of last year's AFC divisional round game. Boy, oh boy,
And it's supposed to be good weather, too. It's supposed to be, pretty decent weather. It looks like 68 right now in Kansas City. Over under 54.
This is a tough one. I think I'm going to go. I think I'm going to say the Chiefs. And the reason why I say the Chiefs, now this is the game I believe that one of the games that I thought Buffalo could lose on its way to being the last unbeaten team in the NFL. That's obviously not the case anymore, but I think the reason why I'm going with the Chiefs, even though the Bills are 3-point favorites, you just have an edge when it comes to that offense. And even though you could say, oh, it doesn't have, like, the Chiefs offense has been producing at about the same level this year under any reign they had with Tyreek Hill. Travis Kelce is coming off a monster game, 4 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes looks as good as he's ever had a start to a season. And I think the Bills defense has too many questions going into this game. Not questions in general, but Tre'Davious White, the cornerback, out. You have Micah Hyde on the injured reserve, safety. Jordan Poyer, safety. He's questionable. You also have a couple of players on offense that might not be there as well. So I think I'm going to go Kansas City, but I think it's going to be within that 3-point range that Buffalo has.
Yeah, this is tough, Mitch, because part of me thinks that we saw the Bills last year lose that heartbreaking playoff game, and they prove they can play with the Chiefs.
Yep.
I think that probably the best team in the AFC to match up with the Chiefs head to head in terms of offense. There's two ways to look at it. The Bills come out and they play their best game of the year because they know they need to get the win for head to head because they want the playoffs to go through Buffalo. There's the other part of me that thinks that the Bills already believe in themselves that they're better than the Chiefs, and they don't want to showcase what all they have to the Chiefs or what they could potentially keep in their back pocket. Now, they could still win doing that, but it's hard for me to pick here. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I really am. I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go with the team that right now, just coming off of last week, I know that the Bills throttled the Steelers, but the Chiefs beat a better team than the Bills did, in my opinion. But I'm not going to be shocked if the Bills win. I think this is a massive game for both teams because I think when you talk AFC Championship, I'm throwing my predictions out the window because I'm a fool and I picked the Broncos. The home field advantage is pretty much going to determine who wins the AFC Championship game between these two. I think it'll be a great game.
Bills win this game. They're the top team in the AFC to me by a considerable margin, but it also depends on the win too. If Kansas City plays it close, then it's like not going to be a huge margin, but Buffalo won by 2 touchdowns. They make a statement in Arrowhead. Now we have the night game, Cowboys versus Eagles. Eagles last undefeated team in the NFL. They're 6-point favorites. Mitch, this is the game where, as great as the Cowboys have done, this is the game that kind of puts some reality into them. I'm going to go with the Eagles. Now, I don't think Dallas is going to implode after this, especially with the possibility of Dak coming back very soon. But this is going to be Eagles are going to be just fine in this game, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think they'll be just fine. And what a weekend it's going to be for the city of Philadelphia. You're talking about having Sunday night football against your division rival, probably the team you hate the most in the Cowboys. And then you're also having the Phillies play home playoff games for the first time since 2011. Great time for the city of Philadelphia in terms of their sports. I will take the Eagles, though. I think they remain undefeated. I'm very, very curious to see what happens with the Cowboys if Dak's under center, because I'm not saying that Cooper Rush is better than Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
They are calling a different type of game, though, when Cooper Rush is under center, and I think the Cowboys look better. And I just wonder if they would do the same thing with Dak, or if they're too enamored with saying, we're paying him all this money, we got to let him do it this way. I think it's a very interesting dynamic to see what happens with Kellen Moore, the OC there. But give me the Eagles. I think the Eagles, Mitch, and it's hard because we saw the Steelers back in 2020 get off to an 8 or 9-0 start. And my thing is, you play who you play on your schedule. You can't control that. But if you're the lone undefeated team in the NFL, I'm putting you at number 1 in the power rankings because you haven't been beat yet. And so right now, Eagles are number 1 still.
Okay. Yeah. As far as Monday night goes, Broncos versus Chargers. Chargers 5-point favorites. Gonna have to go LAC on that one. I don't know where you stand, but I don't think the Broncos embarrass themselves, but I do think the Chargers are the better team. They're gonna pull off the victory at home.
Well, it's the battle of the idiot coaches. That's really what I'm looking at here between Hackett and Staley. It's which coach is going to make the least amount of mistakes. And honestly, I could argue either way right now with how they like to coach their games and decision-making they make. I kind of wanted to take the Broncos, and I might still flip it, and we'll know because we'll record before that game ever plays for our next episode. But as we sit here today, I'm going to take the Chargers.
All right, and that leaves us one more game, man. Look, this has to be a better week for you. You can't possibly be the ultimate pessimist compared to some of the ones in the past. This is Patriots at the Browns. Browns are 3-point favorites coming into this game. Both teams, coming off of tough losses. I'm going to hedge my bets this one. I'm taking the Browns. I know it could be a letdown, but I'm going to say that The offense finally gets stuff together. They're going to utilize the run more, especially against a team that isn't amazing against the run. I mean, they've given up an average of 128 per game, which is less than the Browns. But I think this is the one where the Browns sort of calm the waters. You're at 3-3 going into your games against back-to-back division opponents.
No, Patriots. Honestly, after people, I honestly forgot we played this team last year, and I'm not even like kidding.
Yeah,
I forgot we played this team and got embarrassed in Foxborough.
Yes.
There is way too much confusion right now on the team. We just signed a nose tackle after we had heard the front office before saying they don't really value nose tackles. Well, now you obviously realize that your defense sucks and you have to do something to stop the run. Ramondre Stevenson's coming in here, and I'm not going to be shocked if he looks like Nick Chubb in this game. I honestly don't think we're going to lose this game how we've lost other games. I won't be shocked if the defense plays well, but Bill Belichick has an offense ready to defend Jacoby Brissett and Nick Chubb, and we actually lose a very close game while hitting the under. The over-under is 43. I think I could see the Patriots literally winning this game like 20-14, like a low-scoring game. But yeah, I'm taking the Patriots, Mitch. I told you, I'm not picking the Browns again.
All right. Well, we're just going to have to keep holding on for hope for next week. It's not even going to be next week or the week after because, well,
it'll probably be when we play the Bills because that would be the most Cleveland Browns thing ever. We'll probably keep losing. The spread will be 14 and I'll say, you know what? This is the most Cleveland Browns thing ever. They have no business winning this game, but they'll beat the Bills somehow, and they somehow will.
Oh, you drive me nuts sometimes. All right, we're going to a break. We're going to final segment here in a couple minutes, talking some high school sports. I want to shout out some state qualifiers and, of course, week 9 of the football season.
We all have 206 things in common. Our bones keep us up and moving. And we at Cleveland Clinic Union Hospital care about every single one of them. From the tip of your finger to a brand new hip, our orthopedic experts will keep you going while keeping you safe. For every break and breakthrough, for every bone and joint, for every care in the world. Get the care you need when and where you need it. Visit unionhospital.org.
Hard work is something you're accustomed to. Van Nostrand Young understands that principle. Our access is achieved with organizations like Grange Insurance. Safety and prevention specialists utilize our VanCan assessments process to ensure that you and your colleagues are in the best hands. You want the safest environment for your business, and we can guide you there.
Call Van Nostrand Young Insurance in North Canton at 330-496.
You deserve the best. And at Ferris Chevrolet, Buick, Cadillac, Toyota, that's what you get. We consider you, the customer, to be part of our family. Anybody can make promises, but when you visit Ferris, you get the Ferris deal from a Ferris wheel. So if you're looking for a car, truck, or van, think Ferris.
If you're purchasing a new home, the team at Hartzler's Quality Housing is here to help. Take advantage of record low interest rates to make your new home a reality. Locally owned and operated since 1978, Hartzler's Quality Housing has the experience to guide you through the process. You'll find a wide selection of model homes on site to fit any budget. Open 6 days a week just off I-77. You can also visit them online at hartzlers.com. Hartzler's Quality Housing. Quality from start to finish.
When others treat your fries as an afterthought, all you're left with are cold, soggy fries. That's why Wendy's new fries are ones you won't forget, guaranteed to be hot and crispy, or we'll replace them. We're talking natural cut, skin-on fries, perfectly seasoned with a hint of sea salt. In fact, they're even preferred almost 2-to-1 over McDonald's. These are fries so hot and crispy, they beg a new question.
What would you like with your fries?
Try them today, only at Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, taste preference based on a national taste test by an independent research company.
And we're back here on the Big Time Sports Podcast Show. Final segment. Mitch Spinell, Mitchell Balla here. Now time to talk about high school sports. Before we get into football, Mitch, I want to shout out some golfers in the high school area because it is now officially tournament time. The state tournaments are being filled out here. A lot of the teams making their way down to either Sunbury or Columbus, and a couple of teams from our areas, both qualifying. For me, it's Tuscarawas. You have teams like Carrollton's boys making the tournament, as well as Connor Ritter, the individual for Sandy Valley, the senior, the junior, making his way back to the state tournament for the second consecutive year. He won the title last year. And then, Mitch, we also had two teams from your neck of the woods in Greene and Jackson, both the boys qualifying for the tournament.
And Greene, Mitch, is kind of one that was unexpected. They may have had the Federal League Player of the Year, maybe a potential, just best player around the area in golf, but the Greene Bulldogs showed out and they are going to states. And for Jackson, this was something that if you are around the area, you don't want to say expected because you hate to put those type of expectations on, anywhere from 13 to 17-year-old kids in high school. But this is kind of expected for Jackson year in, year out to make a run like this and go back down there. But no, and you know golf way more than me. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, what guys are shooting or, what they'll need to shoot to, try to win a state championship. But it's awesome to see the Greene Bulldogs, a team that a lot of people didn't think could make a run like this, make a run to states, and then Jackson will be down there too. So Stark County will be represented well in terms of boys golf.
Absolutely.
I was going to say, I don't know if you were going right to football, but I wanted to give a shout out to two other Federal League schools. Tuslaw girls volleyball and Jackson girls volleyball wrapped up their league titles last night in league play. So that is two more teams that we now see as the tournament starts next week for volleyball. And Mitch, we are looking to have a volleyball head coach from a local Stark County school on here within the next week. And hopefully we have that set up here. I've been in contact with head coach Mary Kate Agona of the Jackson Polar Bears. And it looks like we'll be able to get her on. But those two teams wrapping up their league title, and then Jackson boys soccer. I know I sound like a homer, obviously. Jackson boys soccer earning a share of the league title last night when they were on the road at Greene Memorial Stadium. So fall sports, starting to come close to the end of the regular season. We still got more football though.
Oh, obviously. I mean, with the two matchups we have coming this week, we have two matchups on Friday night, but one in Stark County, one in Tuscarawas. Yours will be Hoover traveling to Greene to take on the Bulldogs. That'll be an interesting one. Greene going in has had a bit of a run here, and then New Philadelphia will be on the road this week in one of our longest travels this year to Millersburg to take on the West Holmes Knights. The Knights are unbelievable this season, Mitch, 8-0 on the year. But I want to hear about the Bulldogs versus the Vikings first. I mean, what do you think we can expect from that matchup?
I think you can expect a lot of points. I think you can expect to see Carson Derlin and Robbie Klockner, the two quarterbacks of each school, airing the ball out. And I think you have potential to see a lot of points. For them, the Federal League title hopes are diminished. Really, we're going to know after tomorrow night if the Federal League is wrapped up by Canton McKinley or if Lake has an outside shot at it. But this is going to be fun. And the one thing to watch out for, as we've heard after last week and coming into this week, was one of the two McKinley running backs between Roach and McKelly banged up. Possible they do not play. One of the two do not play. But this is going to be a great game on Big Time Sports over in North Canton. And like I said, Mitch, I think you're going to see a lot of points scored. You're going to, if you like guys throwing the football and seeing the speed on the outside, and maybe some people like to see great defensive back play, the defensive backs and the safeties and all secondaries will be tested tomorrow night as these two teams, Mitch, meet in week 9. But it's not out of the realm of possibilities these two teams meet again in the playoffs, as they're both in the same division and region for the OHSA playoffs starting here in just 2 weeks.
I was going to say, right now in the standings, you have multiple teams from the area, like Canton McKinley sitting at number 5, Massillon Jackson currently 8th in the 16-team field. You also have Glen Oak in there, despite being 3 and 5, they're number 11 right now. And then, of course, obviously St. Edwards, is number 1 at 7 and 1 right now. So we'll see where it goes. As far as my matchup, New Philadelphia, of course, having a pretty solid year at 5 and 3 on the season, coming off a win last week against Lexington, where there was very little scoring. You had a touchdown run by Trevor Bean and then a late field goal, and then 4 interceptions early on for the Quakers in the first half, 3 of them from Dakota McCune, who had a standout performance. And the team, this is where I'm very curious as to what they do here. There's only been one game this year, Mitch, where the Quakers have scored over 21 points, and that was their 44-6 win over Mount Vernon back on the 23rd. Now, since then, it has been total point totals for New Philadelphia of 7, 20, 21, 15, 21, 21, and 10. That's that. It's when I say those point totals, I mean, you might think, oh, they score their points, from time to time. Sometimes they don't. And then I look over at what West Holmes has been pulling off this year. West Holmes right now is one of the highest scoring teams in a lot of the areas around us. They have these are their point totals for weeks 1 through 8. 41, 51, 56, 37, 56, 48, 48, and they're coming off a 63-39 victory over Ashland. Now that last one interests me because Ashland scored the most amount of points that any team has gotten on the night so far this year. New Philadelphia, their offense hasn't been a juggernaut so far this year, but if they can put up, the trick for them is to put up enough points while trying to maintain this Knights offense as best they can. And the defense is very capable of doing good things because multiple times this year, New Philadelphia has been able to really keep teams off the board. They gave up 2 points to CVCA, 0 points to Steubenville, 0 points to Worcester. 20 points to Worcester, 20 to Steubenville, 20 to Steubenville, 21 to Worcester. But then they give up 7 to Ashland, 6 to Mount Vernon, 0 points to Madison Comprehensive. And then last week, just 7 points. That's a very good defense. It's the question of if the offense can really put something together to potentially have to match up with a Knights team that can obviously get the ball down the field.
And maybe they can, right? You talked about what their defense has been able to do. They haven't been in a situation where they've had to showcase what they can really do on offense. Now, I get that could be just a bad take by me because as a team, like you said, West Holmes is putting up insane point totals in every game, but there's a chance that maybe they just do what they just need to do to get by. And maybe this is the game that you really find out what the offense is capable of. Maybe there's something they've been holding back. Granted, you see that a lot in college football, I believe, and maybe so much in the NFL, but we don't know. Nobody knows. I mean, Mitch, this could be an offensive shootout. This could be one-sided, or the defense could show up and West Holmes hasn't seen anything like it.
If it's going to be close, I don't think it's necessarily going to be a shootout. I think New Philadelphia is going to really try and utilize the run as best they can. Bean has been one of the top performers for the team so far this year. And, the quarterbacking hasn't been awful by any stretch. They just don't go to it, I think, as often as they would the ground game because the ground game can be so effective. And even the quarterbacking can get enough from the rush to make up enough for the Quakers to stay in these games. Because again, the most they gave up this year has been 21 points. That's pretty good for a defense. Only about 3 touchdowns, maybe 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals. That Ashland score really interests me, especially with the fact that they only gave up 7 points to the Arrows in their first OCC win. So I'm compared to the 39 that they scored against West Holmes. So I'm very curious as to where that game goes. We're also curious as to where you guys think the games will go this coming week and week 9. We'll put a poll out there or something, or you can ask it on YouTube on the comment section below. And that's where our episode is going to end because, we always mention that you can follow us on YouTube. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. We also are on Facebook, Big Time Sports Ohio, on Twitter at BTS Ohio, and on Instagram, Big Time Sports Ohio. And then at Mitch Spinell, at Mitchell Balla. You can follow us pretty much on anywhere of those handles. Mitch, what's the fact of the day?
Mitch, your fact of the day is the last letter added to the English alphabet was not the last letter in the alphabet Z. It was actually the letter J.
Was the letter J? I mean, I think it was a thing a long time ago where a lot of words weren't using that letter specifically. If it was always in the form of an H or something long. I might just be pulling that out of my rear end, but I am a little surprised that you would think that Z would be the last one. I just assumed they already had the letters standard and then just put them all together, put them on the list. I don't know though, but every time I forget to do this. Let me see if I can make this shot here. Thank you for listening and watching to another episode of the Big Time Sports Podcast Show.